Right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming along this evening. I hope this is going to be helpful. So, just a bit of an overview of social media, some things to think about, and some ideas about where to start. Because although a lot of us kind of use social media for our personal purposes rather, when it comes to doing it for a business, it can feel a little bit overwhelming and not sure where to start. And so many mentors kind of say, "Oh my God, you've got to be on social media." And I'm as a marketing expert, so I've been in the marketing world for almost 30 years now, working for clients large and small. And I think social media really, if you kind of got to be in it. It's not something you can just dabble in. So if you're not ready to do it, or there are a number of scenarios where it's not right for you to be doing it in the public space, then it's better to not do it than to half-ass it. You can make yourself look pretty bad pretty quickly with social media. So hopefully this will give you guys some food for thought and some ideas of where to go next. And then, if you guys need any help with this, obviously my business, so my marketing business, Happy Friday, is obviously here to help you guys. So the agenda, what we're going to talk about tonight, we're just going to go through platform selection. So of the all the social media platforms, which ones I think are appropriate to us as property investors. We'll talk through whether to go personal business, how the platforms think, how they work, different types of content, how you're looking at engagement rates. So that's how people are actually engaging with your content. And then we'll talk about friends and followers, public and private, and then how I can help you guys. Okay, so let's talk about platforms. So really for us as property investors, there are four, I would say three main and one optional. So TikTok is very much a personal preference as to whether that's the type of social content that you are happy creating. If you are not, avoid it like the plague. So Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, I think are our big three, with TikTok as an optional. But rather than what you want to be doing is just thinking about where your audience are and what you would want to know if you were in their shoes. You're going to hear me saying this quite a lot about thinking about who are your audience. So this all comes back to what your property strategy is. So this can be a little bit of a challenge at the beginning, where so many of us have come to property training and we know we're interested in property, but we're still going through all the training modules and we're not quite sure what our strategy is, or we change strategies halfway through, or a few months after we've joined up. And so what I would recommend is that you keep things pretty generic until you decide on what your strategy is and you're feeling pretty confident about where it is that you're going. So for us as property investors, I would say there are sort of four key audiences that we need to think about. So obviously, if you're going to be doing SA, you've got your guests that are hopefully going to interact with you on social media as well. If you're in the buy-to-lets or HMO space, you've got your tenants. And then there's sort of the investors. So it's trying to find investors from friends and family, or potentially finding investors outside of your immediate network. And then what you want to have a look at is what platforms are your audience on? So, for example, if you were thinking about doing HMOs for students, then TikTok is probably the place that you need to be. Facebook is typically a lot older, and especially if you look at LinkedIn, that's the majority of the 30-year-olds. You're not going to find a student audience on LinkedIn. Whereas if you're, targeting official investors, so you want people that are business people that have money, that have jobs, and you're targeting them with hey, just give me your money and I'll invest it for you. Then LinkedIn is probably definitely a channel that you want to be on, because it's likely that they are on that channel as part of their day-to-day job and part of their life. So really have a think about who your audience is and what channels are they going to be on, and then you can start thinking about your social media strategy based upon that. And then the other consideration, so, is uh, what is your format preference? So TikTok, as I said earlier, is all videos. So if you are not happy getting in front of the camera, TikTok is definitely not a platform for you. There's obviously ways to do things like that. So Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives and things like that without physically you being in the shot. You can do obviously videos of you going around properties and things like that. But if you're not very good with technology, you're not happy with doing videos and things like that, then you want a platform that is primarily text based. And LinkedIn and Facebook are probably the right channels for you there. Whereas if you're happier being in front of the camera or think more pictorially as a person, then maybe Instagram or TikTok are more for you. So really have a think about where it is that you are feeling comfortable from a content generation perspective. And then you want to have a look, think about posting frequency. So based upon everything else that you've got to do in your day-to-day life, how often are you going to be able to post create content and post content? So there are certain channels. So TikTok is definitely a daily content, if not multiple times a day, for the bigger brands anyway. But whereas Facebook is maybe a couple of times a week, whereas LinkedIn might only be once a week or even every other week. So really have a think about don't yes, we want to choose the platform where our audience is, but also choose the one where you're actually going to be able to service that audience. And that might actually start enabling you to think about a little bit about what strategy is appropriate for you. And then have a look at where you currently are socially as well. So which platforms do you feel comfortable? Have you been on Facebook, since it started, and therefore that's the platform that you know and love, and therefore maybe that's the platform to start with. And especially if you're feeling a bit anxious about social media, rather than diving into TikTok or LinkedIn, maybe it's Facebook is where you start. And also those channels are probably where you've got an existing network as well. Now that can be a pro and con, and we'll come on to that when we talk about friends and family and networks in a bit. Okay, personal versus business accounts, the big question of everybody always wants to know. So again, it goes back to who is your audience going to be. So from an essay guest perspective, you can probably do this in both names, to be perfectly honest. Business probably is fine. You're going to be finding the majority of your essay guests through Airbnb or booking.com. And then you will then drive them to your social pages, maybe once you then start communicating with them about their upcoming booking, or once they've already checked in. And so you're kind of driving them directly to your page. So that's really a personal preference as to how you want to do that. Again, other investors, this is entirely up to you as to whether you want to be promoting yourself as an individual or as a business. Again, it comes down to the type of strategy that you're doing, and how comfortable you feel putting yourself as the face out there of a business, rather than maybe you're a family going into it and therefore it'd be more comfortable being a business. Friends and family investors, obviously, you're going to need to be on your personal channel to be able to get hold of these guys. If you create a business page, the likelihood these guys aren't going to see that content. And then your tenants, really, your existing tenants, again, like your essay guests, you're already going to have a relationship with them, so you can direct them to your business pages. Whereas, if you want to use social media to try and find tenants, then you probably want to be looking at using both types of accounts. But also then have a little think about what is your personal situation. So it isn't appropriate for every single person right now, as we are starting out as property investors, to be openly advertising that we are property investors. So some organizations will have a clause in your work contract that says you can't have another business, or you need to alert your HR and managers if you do become a director of another business. So if you're not ready to do that yet, or you're job hunting and you think by advertising that you're a property investor as well is going to make potentially a future employer think, well, they're only in this for the short term, and therefore, we'll choose somebody else. It's not appropriate then to have yourself out there in the public space. So that can be a better time to hide behind a business name. The other one to consider is how supportive your friends and family are. So you'll see very shortly, I'm going to give you some examples from my meditation business. I've got quite a few people in my network that are very anti-meditation. And so, I as a marketer can kind of deal with them when they come up with, kind of, oh, this is a load of rubbish. I can kind of deal with that comment. But if you're feeling a bit insecure about what it is that you're doing, a little bit unsure, you're not ready to deal with the negative ninnies in our world, then again, being behind a business name rather than in your personal name might be more appropriate for you. So sorry, it's not as cut and dried, but it's also not that simple. So what we want to do is to start thinking about how the social media platforms actually work. And I've just got a couple of questions for you. So does anybody here have any idea, if you're willing to unmute yourself, what you think is the top priority for the social media platforms? You're willing to unmute and have a guess at what they think the top priorities are? No, you just want me to tell you. Okay. So the top priority is money. So it's all about ad revenue. So let's take Facebook for example. Think about how big that platform is. We're all posting content. We've got decades of photos and videos we've all uploaded into Facebook. The amount of servers that is required to make Facebook run is huge. You've then got to hire people to obviously manage all of those servers and to make sure that the platform is running, that we aren't, that your data isn't being hacked and all of that kind of stuff. And then also thinking about, every time any scandal comes up where, someone was sharing content on social media about a meetup that turned into a political rally or a really big aggressive act or any terrorist activity or anything that was going against the political world. It's always the social media companies that are being told it's your responsibility to keep on top of the content that is being posted. And making sure that people aren't sharing content that is influencing other people in a negative way. Yes, a lot of that stuff can be done with AI, but someone has to write the code, someone has to monitor that, and that takes physical people. So the amount of people that just Facebook has to employ just to do that kind of thing, let alone its normal business operation, is huge. So think about all the salaries that sit behind this platform. So for us, it is a free platform, but so Facebook is a business and it has to make a certain amount of money to be able to offer, to operate, to pay all those salaries and to continue to offer it as a free platform. So their number one priority, as all businesses are, is cash flow, getting money in the door. And the way that Facebook does it, and the majority of the platforms does it, is through ad revenue. So another question, I'm just going to assume no one's going to unmute on this one, is what is most important to those advertisers? So where Facebook is thinking about, okay, I need to make sure that my platform is very appealing for advertisers so that they are going to advertise on my platform. So I've got money to pay all of these people that I need to keep this platform going. So the things for the big advertisers are going to be looking for, or even us if you're running a small business and you're happy to do some adverts, you are looking for number of impressions. So this is the number of people that are going to see your advert. So I don't know how many of you have ever looked at how you create an advert on say Facebook. You can literally say, I want women aged 40 to 50 that live in the southeast that earn over this amount of money and are interested in yoga and dogs and whatever. All of that information is there. So for Facebook, having a really, really diverse population on there is really important to them to be able to appeal to more and more advertisers. But just having a lot of people on Facebook really doesn't help them, because what they want to be able to say is, look how many billions of people we have that have a Facebook account. But we want to be able to say, and this many people log in on a daily, hourly basis. This is how much content they're seeing. This is how much they're engaging with it. So by engagements, it's likes and shares and comments on things. So if you are literally just scrolling through and not interacting with content, you are not helping Facebook to get those numbers up to appeal to advertisers to spend money with them, which enables them to provide the platform to us. So having content on there for people to engage with is really, really important to them. And then how much time they're on site. So if you are the majority of people are literally nipping on, spending 2 or 3 minutes and not really finding any content that's of interest to them and getting off, then the probability that you're going to see someone's advert is a lot less. Whereas if they can prove that the majority of people spend 20 to 30 minutes on our site every single day, there's a higher probability that you're going to see this person's advert while you're on the site. So by creating content that enables people, we all know social media is a bit of a time sucker. It's because you're engaged with that content on there, and all of a sudden time evaporates. That time you're spending there is helping Facebook to get those numbers up to be able to sell their platform to advertisers. So because of that, there is an algorithm that sits behind all of our content that basically is scoring the content to try and make sure that those numbers are protected. Yeah. So from if you literally like the official line is, Facebook says it makes personalized predictions about which content you as a user are going to find most relevant and valuable. Now let me translate that for you guys. Which content are you guys going to comment and share on that's going to give us the stats that are going to help us to convince advertisers to spend more money with us? Is essentially what that algorithm is there to do. So what they are looking for is content that is going to be interacted with. So there are thousands of signals behind the Facebook algorithm. It's a highly protected secret. It gets changed on a pretty regular basis. But on average, these are the types of things that it's looking at. So when it was posted, so time of day can have a really big impact on how many people are going to see it. Whether you as a user, so think about you as a recipient of content. If you typically log on at say 8 to 9 p.m. most evenings after you've had your dinner, content that's posted at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning probably isn't going to be relevant to you, because it's going to be so far down your newsfeed, you're probably not going to get to it if you're only spending 20 to 30 minutes. So actually it's going to prioritize content that is posted around the time that you're more likely to be on the site. But again, not the only criteria. What content have you previously interacted with? If you are a really big animal lover and anytime there is a picture of a cute dog, you are interacting with it. Oh, sorry, making one of the dogs bark. Then it's going to prioritize anything that's got an animal in it for you, because it knows it's the type of content that you're interested in. Who posted that content? So if it's all of us have hundreds of friends, or most of us have hundreds of friends on Facebook, if not thousands. But how many of those people do we interact with on a regular basis? So it's looking at who you're really interested in hearing about content from and prioritizing those. How many other people are interacting with content from that person? And then the type of content as well. So just as a warning to any of you guys that are posting for your businesses, if you include a link on any of your content, that takes that person off of Facebook. So it will be downgraded as a piece of content, and less people will see it. Because obviously, as going back to Facebook's criteria, they are looking for people to stay on Facebook for as much as possible, as long as possible. Sorry, one of my dogs has started to bark. Any quiet, please. So definitely try and keep people on the platform rather than providing them links off to your website or anything like that. And then the other things they're looking at is, if you are posting lots of really long videos, they want to look at how fast their internet connection is. We all know how there's nothing more frustrating than if you're watching a video and it keeps stopping and stuttering and buffering, and also their time zone. So it kind of fits in with sort of when content is being posted for them. And then obviously there's a number of banned pieces of content around there. Just move me out of the way so that you guys, everyone can see this. So again, all of this is being changed on a pretty regular basis. So any type of this type of content, a minute it's being flagged, it will be banned. It will be removed from the site, and you as a profile will be downgraded because of this, and potentially even your account deleted. So just be really careful. Hopefully there is nothing in here that a property investor will fall foul for. But maybe the inauthentic behavior or misinformation around investments. So just be really careful about putting investments on here as well. Right. So which type of post do we think get the most amount of visibility? So there are, sort of three, or there's obviously your two channels that you can think about posting on is your personal account or your business account. In your personal account, you've only got organic. Really, that's your only option. I think you can I think now you can pay to boost a personal post, but why you would do that, I'm not quite sure. But from a business side, where if you've got a business account, you've got three options available to you. You've got obviously doing proper business adverts. You can do an organic post and put some money behind it and boost it, or you've just got your organic post, the same as on your personal channel. Now, going back to Facebook's criteria about what is most important to them, which are the ones that's going to get the highest number of people seeing those posts. So personal organic is going to be the one that is the highest up. So if we as users of the platform are going onto Facebook and we are not seeing any content from any of our friends or family, the people that were actually there to find out what they're up to, we're going to get turned off of the platform. All we're seeing is adverts or content from people that we actually don't really know. We're not going to be on the platform for very long. Yeah, and probably maybe even stop using it. So personal organic will always get the highest number one. And then going back to Facebook's objectives, business adverts are the next. So there's money behind them. You are going to see that next after personal organic. And then again, you put some money behind it. So business organic, business boosted rather, and then business organic, it will really only appear in a user's personal news feed if they are highly engaged with that brand. More likely if you're only posting business organic, someone's got to physically go to your page. Like we all go, slightly different with the Premier Property. Obviously that's a closed group for us. But think about that as a business, we have to go to them to go and see that content. It doesn't appear in our newsfeed. So if you are opting for a business only page, either be prepared to spend some cash or to have not that many people seeing your content. Okay. Now, a lot of you have probably got, oh my God, but it's not the end of the world. It can be okay depending upon your strategy. So business page is absolutely fine if you're not looking for it to find as your primary source of finding new tenants or investors. So if you are handing out business cards at networking and someone can then get to your social media feed, maybe you've got your Instagram handle on there or something like that, or you've got links to your social pages from your website. So you give them your business card, They go and have a look at your website, and then they kind of like, okay, I'd like to find out a little bit more about this person, and they click through to your Facebook or Instagram account. Or maybe they want to go and look at some of your latest properties, and they'll go through to your YouTube account. Yeah, so you can be driving content to your business social channels from your website, from other locations, rather than people seeing them in the feed. Also, just think about it this way as well. You know, in most website platforms will allow you to embed then they have widgets that enable you to pull in mainly Instagram, because it's tutorial. So this is my Instagram feed of my meditation business on the right hand side, and this will feed into my website, so it's actually a content block on my homepage. And so people will see that content when they're on the website, so it adds a little bit more flavor and dynamism. But also, if you are posting on a regular basis on your Instagram account, it's updating that widget, which then makes your website look like it's being updated more, which helps your SEO. But we will cover that when we come to websites at some point in the future. So, but yeah, so don't think that just because if you can only post in on a business name because of all the other reasons that we've just talked about, and you don't have money put behind it, you think, what, there's no point in social media. That's not the case at all. You're just going to have to work a bit harder to get people to be able to see that content. Right, types of content. So ultimately there are 3 different types of content. You can categorize them into 3 different groups. One is informative. So this is what my business is. Sorry, I'll go through these in a bit more detail in a second, actually. So informative, engagement, and call to action. So let's go through those in individuals. So call to action. This is, you want that person to do something right now. So for my meditation businesses, okay, I am doing an intro talk, or, like tonight, I am doing a call about social media training. That was a call to action post that I put into the Premier Property Group. You want someone to do something of that. The majority of those posts, they're very, very they're unlikely to like it or share it unless it's a really, really engaging talk or something like that. Call to action posts are typically something that has the least amount of engagement. So social media is an incredibly passive pastime. The majority of us are scrolling through it while we're sat on the sofa watching telly, and the most active that we get would be to write a little comment. We give thumbs up quite easily. We add a little comment, and maybe a share to your own personal wall if you think it would be interesting to somebody else. But you're not really doing that much. So to say, okay, now I need you to now click on this link. Again, you're taking somebody off platform, come to my website, fill out a form, and then remember to come to a talk in a couple of hours' time. You're expecting someone to do something. So call to actions are always going to have the lowest amount of engagement to them. Informative. So this is where you are getting across details about your business. So you as a HMO or buy-to-let landlord, you might be having content on there about I offer pet-friendly homes, or I make sure that we repaint between tenants, or whatever content that you want to get out there, whatever is your USP as a landlord. Or if you don't know, you're on the sort of the SA side, what is it that's so great about your accommodation versus someone else? For investors, what are you doing to actually that's going to make someone want to come and invest with you? Anybody, that everyone says it's very hard to find deals, and we all know it is, but there are so many people that you can get deals from. Why would someone come to you to get this? And this is really where your informative posts come in. This is, what are you doing to, and what are your USPs? But again, like these examples here on the right hand side from my meditation business, they're informative. They are testimonials from other students. They are talking about What is so different about Vedic meditation versus mindfulness? What is it going to do for you? I would expect some level of engagement with these of, some thumbs up, some likes, some hearts. Maybe if it's quirky, maybe someone will share it with someone, or, they might share it with somebody else going, you say you want to get rid of, um, uh, be able to think more creatively. Hey, Emma, you were only saying this the other day, maybe this meditation technique would help you. But that would be very, very low. I would anticipate these are more just quick thumbs up. Where you're going to get more of your engagement is, strangely enough, with engagement posts. So these are asking for opinions and polls. So like I put out to you guys saying, what type of content do you guys want? This from a property world, that can be, okay, we're doing a refurb. Do we think this tap or this tap? Do we think this color or this color? Take out that wall or leave that wall. All of those types of things will get people to give their opinion on. Everyone loves a motivational quote, or anything that's relevant to what it is that you're talking about, anything that's cute, anything that's funny. Videos definitely are some of the most engaged pieces of content. So this little video down here was probably, I think, about 4 seconds. So it's where my Maisie was just a puppy and was fascinated by me splashing in a puddle. I got, I don't know, 30, 40 likes on that, something like that. Whereas this was a Facebook Live that I'll talk about in a minute. But Facebook Lives are kind of like the ultimate of the engagement contents. So if you can do some Facebook Lives around things, it will quadruple your engagement score. So let's just think about those type pieces of content. So we need to have all 3 of them on our channel to be a successful channel, but not all in. It's not all one or the other. So what you want to think about is, for every one call to action post that you want to do out there, so you want people to sign up to your newsletter, you want people to come to your webinar, you want people to come to your open house, whatever it is that you're doing, think about planning 2 pieces of informative about. So let's just say it's an open house. There's 2 pieces of information about that, and then 3 engagement related posts leading up to that call to action post. And the rough order that you would do them in is do an engagement, and then do a couple of informative, and then an engagement, and then your call to action post. Okay. And the reason for this is, sorry, that slide's slightly out of position. So I'll come on to in a minute how they score these. But essentially what you want is that by the time you get to your call to action post here, you have a really good engagement score. That Facebook or Instagram or any of the channels, they all work pretty much the same. They're all looking at you going, wow, everybody is loving content from this person. So the next post that they post, I'm going to make sure that everybody sees that is engaging with this person is going to see that piece of content. Yeah, so that everyone then will then see this call to action post. So what do you post about? So a lot of people, again, think about social media. It's fine when you're just sharing, here's pictures of my dog or my cat or my kids or where we've been on holiday or whatever. But when you're thinking about your business, what are you actually doing? So obviously, I'm not going to be able to talk to you about particular types of content now, but I can give you some ideas about where to look. So what you can do is start to have a look. I would definitely recommend you have a look at who your competitors are. So if you are in the SA space, for example, you want to be having a look at who else is providing serviced accommodation in your particular area. They have a Facebook page? What are their USPs? And then you can then decide, do you want to fit in or do you want to stand out? So say you're doing, I don't know, SA in Oxford, for example, and everybody is doing I don't know, school themed service accommodation, or just nice accommodation, for example, just the nice grey and yellow walls with nice bedding and all of that kind of stuff. You could do that as well and fit in, or you could do something to stand out. And maybe you then want to do an Oxford Cambridge boat race themed piece of accommodation or service accommodation, or whatever it is that you think is a USP for that particular area. So when you think about, as you're putting your business together, you obviously want to be having a look at who your competition are, and then that will then feed into the type of content that you're going to create. And then, a lot of this is sort of just a general marketing term. It used to always be that everyone would just kind of go, this is what we do, this is what we do, this is what we do. What we want to be doing, and we'll talk about this more when we do the next session on creating content. This is more about just thinking about the platforms. You really want to be focusing on your service benefits and what it's going to do for that person, rather than just saying, we have this lovely flat, please come and stay here. You want to be turning it into needs and drivers that that person is going to identify with. You want to think about what your business personality is. So going back to that audience slide from earlier, what are they interested in? What is going to get someone to come to your, say, serviced accommodation? Are you the cozy romantic sexy getaways? Are you doing Harry Potter or Viking themed or Lego themed accommodation? What do you actually want someone to think and feel when they are looking at your content? Do you want someone to be, on your HMO platform or a feed going, God, I really want to stay in their one of their co-living revolution or co-living properties because they look so cool. Like the people that stay there or that are living there seem so friendly, and they have these great movie nights and Friday pizza nights or whatever it is that again is your USP for being an HMO host. And what you want is for those people to be looking at your site or your social channels and saying, this person knows their stuff. You just want to think about who your personality is and how you are going to really bring around the authenticity of your business to your social channels, and to make sure that people are really getting what is so special about you. But you need to be authentic. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you were on the mastermind session where Cam was going through talking about elevator pitches the other week, and he was talking about having a quirky opening line for your elevator pitch. Now, to not to disrespect Cam at all, because I think that's definitely one way to go. But if you're not a quirky person, it can be quite hard to carry that off, and actually you can end up just feeling a bit stupid and therefore coming across looking a bit gimmicky and therefore potentially not professional. So my recommendation as a marketeer, sorry Cam if you're watching this, is if you are not a quirky person, do not try to be quirky, because you will just come off as inauthentic. Find what is your style, how is your way of talking that you feel the most comfortable with and enables you to portray your passion and your expertise without making you look like you're someone that is just all about gimmicks and one-liners that maybe the other person just doesn't get. Yeah, so just have a little think about that, about what's really you. And I would say always go back to your property why. So everyone talks about having an investment why, which the 99.9% of everybody here always goes, oh, it's all about financial freedom. I want to become a property investor to be financially free. Really dull. What is it about property that, there are lots and lots of different ways that you can make money in this world. What is it about property that really excites you? So is it about producing environmentally homes? Is it about providing homes for kids that are just coming out of care? Is it about providing, so something that I'm really passionate about is increasing the number of pet-friendly rentals, because there are so few. And I think having a pet, obviously having 4 of them at the moment, they're not all mine, but I think having a pet makes a significant difference to your life and your mental health. So I want to be able to enable my tenants to have that experience as well. So when you find what it is that you are really passionate about, you can then talk about that to people. So whether that's you're looking for joint venture partners or for investors, or even as a deal packager, you're really into finding properties that can be turned into environmental homes. You're going to find investors that love you and want to work with you because of what that level of passion that you are showing. So we will bring that out when we talk at networking events. It needs to come out in your social channels as well, but it needs to be authentic. Okay, so not all engagement is equal. So apologies, guys, this should have been in the session before. So I have no idea what the actual scores of any of these are. Only people that work at Facebook know, and I would imagine a very few of those as well. And I would imagine it's changing all the time. But what we do know is that not all engagement is equal. So a thumbs up like, you can imagine that's 1 point for this. So this particular post. So reasons to meditate. I want to be able to think faster and more creatively. When you go to like that, you've got a number of options that come up with those emojis, right? If you just give me a thumbs up, I'm only going to get 1 point for that post. Whereas if you give me a heart or an angry face, if you really disagree with me, then I would get 5 points for that interaction. If you then comment against it, maybe I would get 10 points for that interaction. And then if you share that to your personal wall, then I would get 50 points for that. And what we're doing is we're then adding all of those up. Okay. So for this particular post, maybe I got 20 people interacting with it, but I could have maybe got 5 people putting a thumbs up, a couple of people putting a heart, and a couple of comments. So I don't know, can't do that math. Maybe I've got 30 or 40 points for this. And maybe in Facebook's algorithm, based on all my other content, that's actually seen as a really highly engaged piece of content. I would imagine that's not the most here, because this is what I would call an informative piece rather than an engagement post. But so if you really want to help another business out or another friend out, always give them an emoji rather than a thumbs up, or a comment or a share. And commenting back on other people's comments actually ups your number of engagements. So this was actually a Facebook Live that I did, but you can see for every single one of my some people that have commented on my post, I've then commented back, and I've given them a little heart or a hug or something like that. So each of these interactions that I am adding to my own content is increasing my own engagement score. So what we're seeing here, especially if you can have a bit of backwards and forwards conversation going on in your comment section, really, really helps with the engagement of that post. Now you can see here, this was a Facebook Live that I did to show how quickly stress can accumulate. I was using porridge oats into a bowl. I'll give you guys the link to this so you can have a little look at it if you wish. But I got 193 people looking at that, whereas the majority of my posts, maybe it's like 20 or 30 people maximum would see that piece of content. So Facebook Live exponentially increases the amount of people that are going to see your content. So whether it is physically while you are doing it live, often if you've ever done one or been on one, you'll see people coming in and out. Every single one of those hits into your live adds up your score, but also people watching that video after you finish the recording. All of those add to your score. So as I said, Facebook Lives are really like the premium of engagement content that you can do. So if you've got a really big event coming up where you want to do that CTA post, where you want people to be signing up for something, if you haven't had great engagement in a couple of your posts before, then do a Facebook Live about your event and why it's going to be so great and what is going to be really interesting about it. Facebook Lives will get, or Instagram Lives will get seen by way more people, and then comment back to everybody as well. Right, friends and followers. So again, Going back to the Facebook algorithm, Facebook wants to make sure that content is being seen by people that you're friends with. And the more friends you have, the more engaged you, or the more interesting you get, you become in the eyes of Meta. So obviously Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. So pretty much when you're above about 2,000 friends, Facebook will start to take a little bit more notice of you. And then when you're over 5,000, when you reach 5,000, then people can only follow you, and you have to turn on the professional mode. So just so everybody knows the difference between those, friends are a little bit like your co-performers. You can see each other's content. So you and I are friends. You can see what's on my wall. I can see what's going on your wall. We can share content on each other's posts. We can tag each other in photos, all of that kind of stuff, obviously subject to your privacy settings. Whereas followers are only an audience, so they can only see you. So if you are following me, you can see everything on my wall, but I cannot click on and see your wall if you've marked it as private. Yeah. So that's the difference when you start to get to that higher level. So what we want is essentially more friends. We want more people to be friends with us, so we can get more content being shared out. So just thinking back to the early days of social media, obviously my particular age, I was around, was of the age group. We were one of the early adopters of Facebook. So back in those days, when you were sharing content, you knew everybody that was in your friends group. I would anticipate now, if you go and have a look at your list of friends, I would say there's going to be a large, unless you've been very vigilant, there's a large proportion of people on there that you do not know. And depending upon the channel, that changes. So maybe Facebook and Instagram, or maybe certainly Facebook, you definitely know everybody, but LinkedIn, you probably don't. You've been contacted by a recruiter or by somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody and says, hey, I think we should connect. And then you never speak to that person again, right? Your network is just getting bigger, but you don't actually know these people. Yeah. So now it's more open even on Facebook for you to approach people who are friends of friends. So there's a way to do this. So when you go into your friend group here, you can click on one of your friends, and so this is my friend Kathy's account, and we have a lot of friends in common. But when I scroll down, so all of these people up here are all friends in common with my friend Kathy. But when we get down to here, there are people that she knows that I do not know. And I can make a choice as to whether I want to send a friend request to them. Now, they may then say, I can start to see, these people have all got multiple friends. So this one has only got one mutual friend. So maybe it's not a property. So all of these people I know are in the property world. This person maybe is not a property person, but I would anticipate this person is and this person is. So actually, I know Sen is definitely in the property world. So I can then send them a friend request, and obviously when it's grayed out, it shows that I've sent them a request that they haven't accepted yet. So I would just go through your friends and then click on them and send a friend request. Majority of people will say yes. Every now and again, a person will message you going, "Do I know you?" And you can either choose to ignore them, or you can just message back going, "Oh, really sorry, clicked on the wrong person," or whatever. Yeah, that's a really easy way of upping your number of friends if you don't have a particularly strong following. But don't be too friendly. So Facebook is cluing into the fact that small businesses are using their personal accounts for their businesses. Yeah, so they're not stupid. They know what we're all doing. So if you're sending out hundreds of friend requests every day, they know you're doing it for business purposes. You're not going to find 100 genuine friends a day. Maybe if you've been to a big conference or something like that, but in the majority of the times, you're not going to be getting that. So they kind of have a limit on it. They kind of let you get away with it for a little while, and then they will block you. I've been there. I've been through this experience. They block you for 24 hours from your account if you're getting a bit too friendly. So try and limit yourself to 20 either requests or and acceptances a day. So once you start sending out a lot of friend requests, then you start appearing in people's kind of like I think their notifications of like, would you like to be friends with this person? When you start to have lots of mutual friends, so other people are sending you friend requests. So the more friend requests you send out, the more you're going to receive. So just be careful that you're not accepting more than about 20 a day, because otherwise Facebook can block you. If you're a repeat offender, they will just close your account down because they know you're not doing this for personal reasons, you're doing it for business. Right, public versus private. So historically, when we were just using social media for our personal accounts, if we're putting especially pictures of our kids up, or where we're going out for dinner or whatever, that is going to be private information. So someone would have to be a friend, and hopefully, back in, as I was saying, in the days, you knew everybody that was on your friend list. And so you could say, hey, going to this restaurant tonight for dinner. And it was absolutely perfectly acceptable. Yeah, because supposedly it was within a closed network of people that you knew. Once that, we all know now that's not quite as private as it is, and basically you just advertise to anybody that comes onto your newsfeed that potentially your house is going to be empty tonight, and or you are going to be in this restaurant, so you can come and find me there. So we all know we need to be a little bit careful what it is that we're posting, but the majority of our content still would have been listed as private. Now, if you are going to be using your personal account for your business, then I would recommend to go public with your account, okay? Because it's just one level of, it's another blocker for someone to be able to see your content if they've got to send you a friend request and wait for you to log into Facebook to accept their request. That could be 24 hours, by which time they've actually just lost interest in you. Yeah. So by enabling them, if they want to have a look at your social media account to see whether you're someone that they want to be in business with, so maybe they have this is an investor that's looking at 3 or 4 different deal packages or whatever, and they have to wait for you to accept their friend request before they can see your social profile. They're probably just going to go on to the next deal packager, who might have a public profile, and they're able to see their content straight away, and they can see that they are actively going out and looking at properties, and they can see the type of properties they're looking at. They're exactly the type of things that they're interested in. It's just a lot faster. You're going to get more people to engage with your content by having it open as a public content. So, but there's just a few things that you would need to be aware of. So if you are still using your social media for personal reasons, so for sharing pictures of the kids and the pets and all that kind of stuff, and you don't feel that that fits with the business persona that you want to put out there, then you can create groups. So when you go into the friends section on Facebook and the other platforms as well, I definitely know you can do this on Facebook. I'm not as au fait with the others, but you can say put people into different groups, so that when you're posting a piece of content out, you can say who you want to see that. So if it is something about something really cute that your kids have done that you don't want to be a piece of public content, you can just share it with your friends and family group. Yeah, and that then won't appear in your public feed. Whereas uh, on the opposite side, if you want to put something out there that is just about property, and you don't want people in your family to know that you're doing this, then you can exclude your certain groups as well. So really, depending on how open you want to be and how you want to use your channels, there's definitely ways of doing that. I know you can definitely do that on Facebook. I don't know about the other channels. Have a little look. If anybody's really interested, let me know and we can try and investigate that together. So I have given you guys a lot of information tonight, and it can feel really, really overwhelming. So if you do need some help, I am here to be able to help you. So my business, Happy Friday. So as I was saying, I've been in the marketing world for almost 30 years. And done a lot of different types of marketing. So I can help you obviously work out what your marketing strategy should be, what channels you need to be on, what you're going to be saying, who you should be contacting, all of that kind of stuff. It can help you work out your logo, business branding, help you design business cards and leaflets, and obviously your website as well. And then if you do want to get into start using social media and for your business, and you're feeling a little overwhelmed by that, I can help you work out what that strategy is, which channels are we going to use, what type of content, and then I can help you to create that content as well if you wish. And then if you want to work with investors as well, I would always recommend that they are you create a really professional pack for your investors to use. So I can help you with all of those. But also, if anybody here, a lot of what we've talked about tonight is very specific on which strategy that you are going for. If you are still unclear about what that is, I can help you to try and dig down into what would be the most appropriate strategy. I think a lot of people come into property and tend to go with a strategy based upon the amount of money that they've got available to them, and then really struggle because just doing something you're not really interested in just to make money is no better than the day job, let's face it. So if doing rent to rent SA or deal packaging is not your thing, and you actually just want to be doing flips, then come and have a chat to me and I can help you work out a way to do that. And then we can come up with some action planning and accountability coaching as well. And then obviously I've talked about my meditation business tonight as well. I teach a technique called Vedic meditation. It's what we would call the heavyweight of meditation. So in exercise terms, mindfulness is a little bit like going for a walk, whereas Vedic meditation is working out with a personal trainer 5 days a week. So, you are going to get into a lot better shape, a lot faster using Vedic meditation than you would with mindfulness technique. And, sort of 3 definite areas that it's definitely beneficial for is stress and anxiety and sleep issues, but also really to help with that increasing your mental capacity and enabling you to concentrate better, procrastinate less, make decisions faster, and be more creative in what it is that you're doing, which is obviously things that we as business entrepreneurs all need. So most of you know how to contact me. So you can contact me through the Premier Property Group, but that QR code there will take you to my WhatsApp. You're more than welcome to WhatsApp me anytime, or any of my email addresses are there. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed that session. Do we have any questions?